Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen is an iconic interior designer and TV presenter who believes Christmas and New Year is the perfect time to embrace home improvements. And Laurence is on the line with us here. How are you today?
I'm fine. You make it sound sort of slightly implausible. Sort of like, Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen is telling you all to kind of like get on with your decorating this Christmas and New Year.
Well, why is Christmas and New Year the perfect time for home improvements?
I will tell you, Toby, it's because it's one of those pivotal points in the year where we all start looking at our lives and think, is that really working? I think also one of the big things, I mean, in fact, there are plenty of people out there who will recognise the fact that they are currently desperately trying to decorate the box room to make it mother-in-law friendly. So we all know that one. But actually, I think it is very important because, Christmas, which is this sort of, wow celebration. We're putting everything we've got left. We know that we're going to be fatter and poorer at the end of it. And we know that when the tinsel comes down, the rooms are going to start looking a bit bare. They're going to start feeling a little bit kind of unloved. So actually, I feel very strongly that now is a great time to be sort of embracing the fact that we're moving into a new year. We've got a new start. We've got a new page. We've got a new leaf that we can open and start really kind of drilling down into what's working and what's not working. And this has come out of this new survey where 66% of the UK now want to use words like cosy and warm in the way that they describe their homes, which is a big break from where we were under the Renaissance, where everything was all about being shiny and pale and open plan and big windows. And this is why the government have now stepped in and really basically telling everyone that what a wonderful thing it would be if this new year we all started looking at finding much more efficient ways of heating our homes, not just in terms of our own personal consumption, not just in terms of the heating bills, which of course are going to be mighty, but also in terms of our environmental usage. So this is why the government are really now, I think, very wisely getting us all to embrace the concept of air source heat pumps, which are the greenest way you could ever use of heating your space, but also something that they are now suggesting through the website gov.uk/heat pump, because of the boiler upgrade scheme. It's something that you could be eligible for £7,500 grant to actually make it part of your world. And I think we've all been there. The last couple of years, the global situation has deteriorated. We're all very concerned about where our energy comes from, how much energy we're using. We're also changing the way that we use our homes. More and more people are working from home. More and more people are using energy during the week, whereas before they would be going into the office. So it's working on a personal level in terms of your bill, but also on a macro level, on a kind of a community level, to ensure that we can, as a country, start entertaining the idea that we're going to hit net zero soon enough. So it's kind of one of these things. It's sort of like, Christmas is absolutely wonderful. And, for goodness sake, I'm up there with all the Love Actually stuff. I'm completely on it, Quality Street, liqueur chocolates, all of that kind of thing. But what we're actually celebrating with Christmas is the point where the year turns, where the winter gets darker, the winter gets colder. And so let's bear that in mind.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that 66% of homeowners want to have a warm and cosy space. So what tips do you have for people in order to do that? How do you actually make your home warm and cosy?
Well, I think one of the big things is to obviously look at its energy efficiency. And then there are a whole variety of projects that you can look at, particularly this time of year, in terms of having a boiler service is a very good one. But it's things like, actually curtains. Curtains make so much more sense in terms of keeping heat in than blinds ever will. Actually shutters are a good way of doing that as well. Rather than having hard, shiny floors, carpet, rugs, all of these things really help. But actually visually, I think it's a lot to do with the fact that, using warmer colours, using more colour, using colour in a much more adventurous, much more indulgent, much more personal way, using pattern, using texture. All of these things, I think, are ways of actually bringing your space a little bit more alive. And I think it is a human instinct thing. There we are, we are facing the worst months. So let's make sure that our burrow, our nest, make sure that our sanctuary is something that feels much more supportive, as the survey says, much warmer, much cozier.
Absolutely. And for families who maybe have got quite a busy Christmas, which I'd imagine is actually most people, where should they start? And how much can they do over the Christmas period to give their home a spruce up?
Well, I think, one of the things, as I say, and it's still a little bit of time, get your boiler serviced. I mean, what's going to happen, you're going to have a lot of people coming to the house. There's going to be huge calls on hot water. There's going to be you're going to want to run the heating for a lot more than you would normally have. Make sure that is actually all working in the right kind of way. I mean, obviously, one of the great things about Christmas, one of the great things about decorating for Christmas is it's a bit of a covert moment where you can start introducing a bit more colour, a bit more pattern into your decorating in a very temporary way. And I know a lot of people are doing this. I know a lot of people are kind of deliberately playing around with, I'm going to try a little bit of orange. Let's see what my room looks like if maybe I put some orange bows on the tree. Perhaps that's something that, I'll want to stick with. Perhaps that's something that would actually work as a permanent solution. So, use Christmas decorating as almost like a kind of a nursery slope. In terms of, scaling the heights of interior decoration. Use it as a way of, really putting a toe in the water and working out whether there are ways that you can see of making your space feel a lot better. But one of the things I'm always very keen for people to do is start using plants. Plants have become very trendy recently, but actually they do such an extraordinarily good job in improving the atmosphere of a space. And particularly over Christmas where you've got more people, more carbon dioxide is being leaked out of all of these people. You're going to want things in your space that actually have a very constructive influence over what's going on. And a lovely thing I think to do is about this time, go out and buy some spring bulbs, things like hyacinths or maybe Papilliflora, and put them in pots around a living room, around a dining room. The lovely thing is that, over the next couple of weeks, they'll start flowering. By New Year, they'll be in full bloom. But they have a wonderful way of laundering the air. There's something very claustrophobic about Christmas. Everyone's sort of stuck together. It's lovely having the outside in. But actually, spring bulbs will make sure that the air stops smelling of sprouts and granny's farts. And for goodness sake, we all need that.
Absolutely. Now, you yourself, what are your plans for Christmas? And are you going to be sprucing up your home?
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually I did a bit of decorating over the weekend and found it incredibly pleasurable. We live in the Cotswolds, so actually a tree never works for us. A Christmas tree never works for us because we've got quite low ceilings. And I think this is another tip that I have for people is that don't feel you've got to squeeze a tree in if it doesn't actually fit. Bear in mind, it was the Victorians that kind of unleashed the whole Christmas tree thing. Up until that point, historically, everyone would use garlands. So I like to use garlands. I think it's something that you can really create a focus for. And quite improbably, this year, I've actually put garlands around the wall-hung televisions, which actually works really well. I mean, the television is obviously a big focus of the space these days. It's an important focal point in the room. So actually having garlands around it looks rather good. Absolutely.
Well, where are we able to go to find out more information and get more tips?
So gov.uk/heat pump basically gives you everything you need to know. And quite importantly as well, you'll be able to find out from there whether you're eligible for the boiler upgrade scheme, which could mean that the government are taking a big chunk out of the cost of having an air source heat pump installed.
Brilliant. Well, many thanks for coming on the show today and have a great Christmas.
And you.